Alright, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Akeem and welcome to today's vlogs. Here to continue with my grades for my 2017 NFL Draft. I'm going to talk about the AFC East Division for this vlog. I'm going to start off with the defending Super Bowl champion New England Patriots. Now with the addition of Coney Ealy and Brandon Cooks, they didn't get their first pick until the third round, in which they had a great selection in Derek Rivers, the defensive end, coming out of Youngstown State. Now he is a hard-working player who I would think will blend well to become another decent pass rusher in their arsenal in the defensive line. Next up, they picked up Antonio Garcia, a good offensive tackle coming out of Troy. Fourth round, they picked up Deatrick Wise Jr., the defensive end out of Arkansas. He did have 10.5 tackles for loss last season. And in the sixth round, they went with Connor McDermott, the offensive tackle out of UCLA. I think overall they had some pretty good selections, even though they only had 4 picks. So it looks like they will have a premier pass rusher as well as a possible pass rusher starter as well as a possible offensive tackle. Now overall for their grade, I'm going to give them a solid B+ in their efforts, despite the fact they only have 4 selections. Next up, the Buffalo Bills, and I think they did a good job as well, starting with their first round pick in Chardavius White, the cornerback coming out of LSU. I think he will become a great replacement for Stephon Gilmore, who's no longer with the team. And the second pick in the second round was Zay Jones, the wide receiver coming out of ECU. He's coming from a record-breaking year as far as receptions, and I think that he will be a solid, at least a solid number 2 receiver for this team as a rookie. Next up is Deion Dawkins, another second round pick at pick number 31 in the second round. He's a good guard coming out of Temple that I think he will help address more of the ground game and help LaShawn McCoy have even more rushing yards this upcoming season and even be a pulling guard. I think this is a good solid upgrade in the offensive line. Now in the 5th round, they picked up Matt Milano, the linebacker coming out of Boston College. I actually like that selection, as well as a decent backup quarterback in Nathan Peterman out of Pittsburgh. It looks like Tyrod Taylor is still going to be that starting quarterback, but his job is up for grabs. And in the 6th round, they picked up Taylor Tavaggio, the linebacker coming out of Boise State. That's a decent selection overall for them as well. Now for the team as a unit, as far as their picks, I'm actually going to give them a B in this for their efforts. Next up is the New York Jets. Now, they don't have the sexiest pick for their selections, but it's going to be interesting who I will announce. Starting with their first round pick and Jamal Adams, the safety coming out of LSU. Now, this was the top safety entering this year's draft, and this is a solid play coming out of LSU. Now, they picked up another safety from Florida and Marcus May, which kind of raised my eyebrows a little bit. I wonder why they went with back-to-back safeties in this one. They didn't really need to address the safety position, and they had other particular needs, particularly at wide receiver, to replace Brandon Marshall. And they picked one in the 3rd round, and Darius Stewart coming out of Alabama. Now he is a fast guy, but something's telling me he's not going to be a good receiver at the next level. In the 4th round, they went with Chad Hansen, another wide receiver they selected from Cal. They could have went with another better receiver there as well. In the 5th round, they picked up Jordan Leggett, tight end coming out of Clemson. Now, hopefully, he will be the good receiving tight end that the Jets has been looking for. Chase Amira has not been playing up to par for the Jets, and Leggett is most effective in the red zone as a red zone receiver. In the 5th round, they went with Dylan Donahue, the lineman coming out of West Georgia. That's a decent selection. And in the 6th round, I like the Elijah McGuire selection. He's a running back coming out of Louisiana Lafayette. Now, it will be Bilal's Powell job to lose, and he is a great running back. He's actually coming off of a big, somewhat of a breakout season, in my opinion, for the Jets. But I think Elijah McGuire has a couple of good similar traits from him and Bilal Powell. I think this was a good selection. Sticking in the 6th round, they went with Jeremy Clark, the defensive back coming out of Michigan. That's a decent selection, as well as in their final pick in the 6th round, and Derek Jones, a defensive back coming out of Ole Miss. So they're looking to address different areas, but but I think they could have selected some better players. Now, overall for their grade, I'm actually going to give them a C+. They had some good picks, but then some confusing picks going back-to-back receivers, as well as back-to-back wide receivers, and then back-to-back safeties. I think there was a little bit of a head scratcher, particularly at wide receiver. They could have went with a better players, but I will give them a B, a B minus for their picks. Lastly, the Miami Dolphins. Let me just head over to them. Their first round pick, they went with Charles Harris, a defensive end coming out of Missouri. Now, I think this kid has the potential to become a star at the next level. In the second round, same for Raquan McMillan, linebacker coming out of the Ohio State, coming after a 100 tackle season for the Buckeyes. Next up is Corderia Tankersley, the cornerback coming out of Clemson. Now, this is another one of those faces that people kind of slept on, and I think he's a good player at cornerback. And next up, they had three fifth-round picks. They went with Isaac Asiata, the guard coming out of Utah. That was a solid selection. Devin Duchaw, the defensive tackle coming out of LSU. This was a decent selection as well. And in the sixth round, they went with Vincent Taylor, the defensive tackle coming out of Oklahoma State. And in the seventh round, Isaiah Ford out of Virginia Tech. He's actually a good receiver who was a little bit of a shocker to me to be put in the seventh round. I think that's a good value pick. Now, overall for the Miami Dolphins, I'm actually going to give them a B for their efforts. They didn't have the sexiest picks in the middle rounds, but I think after the first three picks, but I did like the Isaac Asiata selection as well as Isaac Ford in the final selection, so I will give them a solid B for their efforts. And they had a pretty couple of first three picks as well, addressing the defensive unit. Now, the next time to catch you guys will be in a couple minutes. I have 2 more blogs for today. Thank you for watching this blog. I'm your man, Akeem McCall. Be easy.